People say parents love all their children equally. I used to believe that. I was wrong. My name is Ethan, and I grew up in a house where love always had conditions. Unfortunately, I never met those conditions. My younger brother Ryan was born when I was 5. From that day onward, I stopped being their son and became little more than an inconvenience. I still remember my 8th birthday. I had spent weeks hoping for a simple bicycle. Nothing expensive, just one I could ride with the other kids. On the morning of my birthday, my parents handed me a pair of second-hand shoes and said money was tight. 2 weeks later, Ryan pointed at a brand new gaming console in a store. "We'll take it," my father said, without asking the price. That was the first time I understood that they weren't poor. They just didn't want to spend money on me. When I was 10, I won first place in a regional science competition. I stood on the stage, looking for my parents. They never came. That same evening, they drove 3 hours so Ryan could participate in a local soccer practice. "It's important for his future," my mother said. Apparently, mine wasn't. At 12, I needed glasses because I couldn't read the classroom board anymore. My parents told me to sit closer. A month later, Ryan said he wanted designer sunglasses because his favorite celebrity wore them. He got 3 pairs. When I turned 15, I asked if they could help pay for a school trip that every student was attending. "It's a waste of money," my father replied. That weekend, Ryan complained that his phone was outdated. He walked into the house with the newest model before dinner. By 16, I had stopped asking for anything. I worked after school, saved every penny, and bought my own clothes, books, and even food whenever I could. Sometimes my mother would cook Ryan's favorite meals. If I wanted dinner, I made it myself. The funny thing is that people outside our family thought we were happy. They only saw the smiles my parents wore in public. They never saw the empty chair at my birthdays, or the report cards they never looked at, or the nights I cried quietly because I couldn't understand what I had done wrong. Then came my 18th birthday. I thought maybe, just maybe, they would finally see me. Instead, my father tossed a backpack onto the floor. "Pack your things." I laughed nervously. "Good one." No one laughed back. My mother folded her arms. "You're 18 now. You're an adult. We've done enough." Done enough? I looked around the room that had never truly felt like mine. "Where am I supposed to go?" "That's not our problem," my father answered. Ryan sat on the couch, playing games, barely looking up. No one tried to stop me. No one hugged me. No one said goodbye. The front door closed behind me. And just like that, I was homeless. That night, I slept on a park bench. I cried until there were no tears left. Then I made myself a promise. No matter how hard life became, I would never beg for love from people who had already decided I didn't deserve it. The next 3 years were the hardest of my life. I worked construction during the day, studied business at night, learned coding online, started freelancing, failed, started again, failed harder, started one more time. At 19, I founded a small software company from a tiny rented apartment. At 20, investors laughed at my presentation. One investor didn't. He believed in me. That single opportunity changed everything. Within a year, my company expanded across multiple countries. At 21, magazines called me the youngest self-made millionaire in the region. The boy who had once slept on a park bench now owned office towers, luxury cars, homes, companies employing thousands of people. Money couldn't erase the past, but it ensured I would never depend on anyone again. One afternoon, my assistant entered my office. "Mr. Carter, a couple insists on meeting you." I looked at the security camera. My parents, older, poorly dressed, nervous. I hadn't seen them in years. Let them in. They entered with fake smiles. My son, my mother said. The words sounded strange coming from her. We've missed you, my father added. I almost laughed. You missed me? Neither answered. Finally, my father cleared his throat. We've fallen on difficult times. Of course. Then came the real reason. Ryan wants to start a business, my mother said. He needs capital. And since you're family, my father continued, it's only fair that you give your brother half your wealth. Half. Not a loan, not advice. Half of everything I had built. I leaned back in my chair. Tell me something. They looked hopeful. When I needed school books, who bought them? Silence. When I needed glasses? Nothing. When you threw me out on my 18th birthday, my voice remained calm. Where was my half of your love? My mother's eyes filled with tears. We made mistakes. No, I replied. Mistakes happen once. What you did lasted 18 years. My father frowned. We're your parents. You remembered that only after I became successful. They tried apologizing. They blamed stress, money, youth, anything except themselves. I stood. You taught me something valuable. They smiled, thinking I had forgiven them. I hadn't. You taught me that family is not defined by blood. Their smiles disappeared. You also taught me exactly how it feels to be told you're worth nothing. I pressed the intercom. Security. 2 guards entered. Please escort these visitors off the property. My mother reached toward me. Ethan, please. I stepped back. The day you threw me out, you decided I wasn't worth your love, your time, or your money. I looked each of them in the eye. Today, I'm simply returning the lesson. The guards escorted them toward the exit. My father shouted that I was ungrateful. My mother cried my name. Ryan never even came. The massive doors closed behind them. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I felt free. Some people think revenge is making others suffer. They're wrong. The greatest revenge is building a life so fulfilling that the people who abandoned you become strangers to your happiness. As I stood by the office window, watching the security gates close behind them, I realized something. I had spent years searching for the love they never gave me. I didn't need it anymore. I had earned something far more valuable, my own respect, and that no one could ever take away.